My 35-year-old male wife, a 31-year-old female, had my sister-in-law, a 33-year-old female, deported. I had to come on here and get some kind of sideline perspective because currently no one else in the family knows that the reason sister-in-law is deported is because of my wife. Not sure I should out her either in my current state of mind. Sorry if this is long disorganized. My mind is currently in chaos. Background: we have been together for 8 years, no kids. Basically, all of this began when my brother and sister-in-law moved back to our home country after he had been living in sister-in-law's country. Prior to that, my wife Emma didn't have an issue with sister-in-law. My wife and sister-in-law are both from the States, but my wife has been living with me in my home country since we got married. My brother and sister-in-law are what some people might call free-spirited. Sister-in-law is from Portland, something wife rolls her eyes at, and is very hipster. They both smoke regularly, something I don't have an issue with, but don't feel like getting involved with either. My wife has no issues with drug use, but she can't stand how much my brother and sister-in-law talk about pot whenever we see them. 6 months ago, my wife decided to finish her master's degree and was offered an opportunity to do a semester abroad. Coinciding with that time, my brother and sister-in-law moved back here permanently. However, from what I understand, sister-in-law is technically still on a tourist visa, which has expired by now since they came in February, and I'm not really sure what was going on with the whole paperwork process. They seem to be bad at planning. Sister-in-law has mentioned before that she wants to have a kid with my brother because she would not only get paid maternity leave here, but it would cement her staying. She told my wife this over Facebook messages as well. When my wife left to do her semester abroad and brother and sister-in-law moved in, we hung out a lot more. At first my wife was cool with it and would say hi, etc. But things changed when bro and sister-in-law invited me on a road trip to Sweden, something that my wife has always wanted to do with me but we never got around to. After that, she would become short in her answers whenever I said I was hanging out with them. She began to make subtle comments about sister-in-law, and the more I saw them, the more vicious the comments got. As a result, I didn't go out with my bro so much when I knew sister-in-law would be there. I love my brother, but honestly he takes a lot of energy to be around, so it's not something I really minded too much. However, things came to a head when both sister-in-law and my wife entered the same photo competition. My wife entered first and then sister-in-law saw her post and entered 2 days after. Then she and sister-in-law engaged in pretty childish subtle Facebook statuses about each other, always masked as someone or this person. My wife was pissed, and I took the opportunity to ask her what was going on between her and sister-in-law. She basically told me that she resented how sister-in-law got to see me all the time now, and how she feels inadequate compared to her because sister-in-law does all the cooking. Although it's mostly those minimalist dishes people make for Instagram, and not very appetizing for me, and I am the one who cooks in our marriage. Sister-in-law is also Asian, and I made the mistake of telling my wife that I had had a thing for Asian girls back when I was 20 and everything Japanese was all trendy. She was also upset that I had gone to bro and sister-in-law's wedding without her while she had been abroad during her bachelor's degree. She also is afraid that I'm going to start smoking again because of them. I told her it was not something I was interested in because pot mostly makes me paranoid and depressed. She also brought up that she hates how I will talk shit about my brother and sister-in-law, mostly about their need to constantly talking about smoking and some of their very out there ideas about things, but act perfectly fine to their faces. She said she feels like I'm placating her by saying sister-in-law is annoying, but I still go see her. She said it makes her feel like I will lie to fit the situation, and that bothers her. Well, I hadn't seen bro or sister-in-law for a few weeks now, and my wife and I were back to normal. She came home and we were having a good time seeing all our other friends. She didn't even bat an eyelash when I said some of the guys had invited me out for a guys' night. All was good. Then last week my brother called and asked me if I wanted to hang out. He sounded pretty high and I told him no. Emma casually asked what was up and I told her. She got a bit quiet, then shrugged and went back to doing whatever. About 10 minutes afterwards she said she was going to take the dog for a walk and run to the shop to get some vegetables for dinner. This is basically what went down. She went outside, called the police anonymously, and said that she was a concerned neighbor and could smell marijuana coming from my brother's flat. The police came. My brother and sister-in-law were arrested and fined. However, when they went to pull up sister-in-law's profile to record the incident, they discovered her expired tourist visa. She had to be transferred to a sort of holding facility for people who are in queue for being deported. Now there is a whole shitstorm happening. My brother is beyond upset and the family is shocked. This isn't really something that can be worked around as one. Marijuana is illegal in this country, and two, she was on an expired visa and they didn't file the correct paperwork for her to live here legally. So if she is deported, she may face a 5-10 year ban. This means either the end of their marriage or my brother will need to figure out how to move to the US with her. The thing is, no one knows it was my wife except me, and she doesn't even sound the least bit remorseful. We had a huge row about it and she stood by her decision, saying that if sister-in-law was that stupid to do illegal drugs as well as not have her papers in order, then it was on her. If I'm being honest, I don't care so much about sister-in-law being deported, but I care that my wife felt so threatened by her that she went to this length. She's the type to make subtle remarks and be frosty, but she has never done anything close to this before. So now I'm in a real bind. I really don't know what to do. I definitely cannot tell the family, and I don't really feel the obligation to anyway. I'm not close with my mom because she left me as a kid, and I don't talk to any of my relatives really except my dad and brother. But I cannot just let this slide. I need to impress upon her that she has potentially ruined a marriage, all in effort to remove someone she finds annoying from our lives. Someone we don't even have to see every day. What advice can you guys give me? There's no one else I can even talk to about this. Relevant comments commenter, she completely violated your trust. She knew what she was going to do, but she lied to you about going to the store instead because she knew you'd try to stop her. That means she knew what she was doing was wrong. She also got your brother arrested. At the very least, she needs to come clean with your family, sister-in-law included, and apologize. Let her face the consequences for her actions. Maybe she'll learn something. OOP, yay, I feel at fault for giving her the information about this. I shouldn't have said anything, but I also never thought it would go to this level either. And I agree. She needs to apologize to at least my brother and sister-in-law. Commenter, your wife took their stupid high school rivalry thing way too far. There are plenty of people that I can't stand in this world, but I would never go as far as to call the police on them short of an actual crime safety issue. This is a big deal, and while I don't know what you should do about it personally, I would divorce over this. OOP, I don't know about divorce right now, but I think therapy together needs to be a must. If this is who she really is, it's like you said, this was taking a rivalry way too far. Deleted. How do you forgive someone who ruins your own brother's marriage for something this petty and stupid? If anyone did that to my sister, I would never speak to them again. Lovely Polly, how did you find out about her role in getting your sister-in-law deported? Did she tell you she made the call? OOP, well, when I got the call from my mom that brother was in jail and sister-in-law was getting deported, I told her. And she said, yay, I know, I called the cops. Deleted, so you're basically going to ignore what she did to your brother. He has a drug arrest now, and for most countries that limits the type jobs you can take, and eventual promotions at jobs he does qualify for. He can no longer travel to a host of countries, including his wife's home country, the US. You said he took you on a trip to Sweden. Sounds like a guy who enjoys seeing the world to me. Your wife ruined that for him. His spouse can no longer live with him in his own country. He can't go to hers, but you are okay with the deportation thing. I could not live with my husband knowing he did that to my sister. Why are you so okay on behalf of your brother? Update, holy hell, this really blew up. I will post a real update soon, but your comments and messages are very appreciated. Things are quite tense ATM, but tomorrow we have agreed upon a sit-down. We'll update letting you all know what happens now with us and the situation. As of this moment, sister-in-law is definitely being deported. TL doctor, wife and sister-in-law have rivalry. Wife called the cops on sister-in-law while knowing that sister-in-law has an expired visa. Sister-in-law is on her way to being deported. Update 1 May 27, 2015, next day, so there's a lot to catch up on here. First, sister-in-law is on a flight out tomorrow. There is nothing that can be done ATM to keep her here. She now has a stamp on her passport that says expelled and a 10-year ban from entire Schengen area. The immigration officer my brother spoke to said that it is possible for the ban to be reduced, but that is the current official time given. The American embassy was also notified about this. My brother is a wreck. He was able to briefly visit sister-in-law in the holding facility and she gets to call him twice a day, but that's it. They don't know when it will be possible to see each other again or where. If he is unable to go to the US because of his arrest, they may agree to meet in a mutual country. Sister-in-law has family in the Philippines, so that may be an option for them. Many of you told me to tell him what my wife had done, but honestly, in his current state of mind, I just can't do it. It would be the actual tipping point for him. I know that this probably means I will have to either never tell him or accept that when I do, it will completely destroy our relationship. Secondly, I did tell one family member. My mother came to visit to discuss sister-in-law's deportation, and I ended up telling her what Emma did. She was furious, and she insisted that the both of us talk to my wife. Well, wife and I had already agreed to have a long talk today about the matter and what this meant for us. I felt a little more grounded having my mother there, and then things just took a freak turn. Wife sat down, seemed really calm. She let my mom say what she wanted and just sort of sat there nodding and had her hands folded. When my mom was done talking, wife pulled out her phone and handed it to my mom. Drop your verdict in the comments. Wait, what?